So you mentioned, so we'll get to the film,
Yeah.
right? That you brought to the festival, which is showing tonight
at 8 p.m.
Yes, it's part of the 8 p.m. screening tonight. So of course I got to see it ahead of time. So it's really good. It's just fun. I mean, it's just it's a really good fun story. So you mentioned that you wrote it because you got ghosted. Yeah. So it definitely explores kind of like that the emotional kind of aftermath of being ghosted. So what inspired you to turn that into like the haunting, like the ghost?
Well, I think making theater, making movies is how we relate to each other, right? Like fundamentally, storytelling for me is about empathy and about feeling less alone.
Mm-hmm.
And particularly in the last, 5 to 8 years with apps and with online dating and social, I just think it's making people feel more and more isolated rather than bringing them together. And so I was having a lot of conversations, particularly with female friends, about like how terrible it is. And so when you meet somebody in real life, which I did through a work environment, and you start to trust them, you think, oh, this must be more reliable because we know each other in real life. You have more accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And then that person also hurts you or betrays you or lies to you. I think it's hard to make sense of that. And I'm a person who really needs to make sense of things. If I can understand it, it helps me get over it. And I just couldn't understand it. So I found myself feeling crazy, like going through text messages and trying to see if there were like signs or like going through like messages we had sent. And I finally was like, I'm trying to see something that's not there. Sometimes people just do bad things, even if they didn't mean to be malicious. They make mistakes, they hurt people, and that just is what it is. And so the idea of the ghost was about trying to find meaning in something that's not there, trying to make sense of an unexplainable event. But then because it's a movie, doing that through the lens of genre and trying to do it in a different kind of heightened way.
So for the script, I'm always curious of this because I do documentary work, and so I don't really script things. Like, how many iterations did you go through of the script before you started shooting? Like, when do you know, like, it's ready?
Do we ever know?
Do we ever?
It's
Yeah.
ready? I think you set shooting dates and then you're ready.
You have a deadline for a festival.
The advantage of being a filmmaker is, they say there's 3 versions of the film, right? Mm-hmm. The one you write, the one you shoot, the one you edit. And so there were definitely lines that we cut in the edit. There were definitely moments, I don't want to ruin the film for anybody who hasn't seen it, but the last moment of the film, we stitched together. The answer to your question is like, I actually maybe had like 3 or 4 drafts. It's a short. So I sent it to some friends. I actually workshopped it in a residency. So I wrote it in a residency. I had other artists read it there. I made some tweaks. I sent it to some writer friends. I made some tweaks. I had the actors that we cast read it on Zoom. I think maybe made a couple tweaks from that, but otherwise the shape of it was always the same. I think the thing that I like to play with more than anything is just dialogue, getting it as natural, as tight, as purposeful as it can be. And this film doesn't have a lot of dialogue, so it's really just a lot of listening and responding and then action moments.
Yeah, and I kind of love that about it. A lot of it is just visual, like it's reactions from the characters on it and the things that we see, and not so much just telling, of everything that they're thinking. You can tell what they're thinking. Yeah. Oh, it's just great. Now, did you have the actors in mind when you wrote it, or was they completely just cast?
Short answer is no. I didn't have anybody in mind because I come from an acting background. I don't know how to not write it in my voice a little bit, which is why I like to have actor friends or non-actor friends read it to hear if it's working. But one of my best friends is Rory Berkman, who is a casting director who also was a part of this original theater company. And she works with Nicole Hollow Center. She works with Charlie Kaufman. She works on The Americans. Like, she's very well established, and she does little favors for me from time to time.
That's great.
I, again, as an actor, am like, I don't say opposed to auditioning for shorts. I think there are specific circumstances where that might make sense. But I think for the most part, like, I felt comfortable making a list, looking at that list, and then just offering it to actors that I knew or that we knew. And so that's what we did. Theo, who plays the boyfriend or the ghost, I knew socially, we were friendly because he was in the show called American Idiot that our friend Chris produced, and I had spent some time with Theo. Didn't know his like on camera work as well, but knew that he had the right vibe because I needed somebody to be a creep, but who presents as a nice person. And in real life, he's the nicest, kindest, warmest guy. And he always gets cast as creeps. But you want somebody who's not a creep on your set. So I did have Theo at the top of the list. And then Nikki, who plays Anna, who's the lead, I had seen on stage. And she just has these big, expressive eyes. And again, I knew because there wasn't a lot of dialogue, I needed somebody who could really show it in their face. And so Rory had actually, I think, mentioned her initially and was like, oh, right, I love Nikki's work. And so we were very grateful that they both just said yes.
Yeah. Well, they're great in it. Yeah, they're great. So I looked at your credits, and you have like 20 some writing credits, and some producing credits. But this was your first. This was your directorial debut.
That's
correct?
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So let's kind of talk about that. Like, what was it like being behind the camera, not in front of it, or not like the person who was producing, who they're not often on set, the producers. So talk to us about that experience.
Well, I should say my producer was very much on set.
Okay.
Tara Sheffer, I met at a film festival. I just wanted to do a quick aside to give my producer her flowers, because I do think sometimes the producing job gets overlooked, and it's one of the hardest and one of the most important, and ties into my ability to direct. Because I also produce, I just knew that I needed somebody else with their eye on things, or I wouldn't be able to relax and direct. I would be stressed and be trying to produce on the side. So Tara and I met at Tallgrass in Wichita, Kansas. So we were on a panel together. I hadn't seen her film, she hadn't seen mine, but we just started chatting. We were both from New York. We were both like, you seem cool. And so when I was putting this together, I thought of her, she was the first person that I thought of. And again, like she very graciously said yes. There was a moment we were on set that I like smelled paint, and I was like, that's weird. And at the end of the shoot, she was like, so we maybe like scratch something, but it's fine, it's taken care of. She had left set to go to Home Depot, get paint a wall, and come back, and like I didn't even know that it happened.
That's a great producer.
Good producer.
That's a great producer. Yeah.
Well, back to your original question. I like directing. I was confident about knowing how to talk to actors, coming from an acting background, knowing how to describe what I wanted to see, coming from a writing and a producing background, and like team leading, coming from a producing background. The stuff I didn't know was the lenses and the lighting and the technical terms, because I didn't go to film school. And everybody said to me, you just need a really strong DP, somebody you trust. And so I actually spent the most time interviewing DPs to get a sense of like, I said to everybody, it's my first time directing, so I really want a partner. I don't want to feel bad about asking questions, or like I never want to feel embarrassed or stupid about asking about something. And so Olavi was the first person I interviewed. She actually AC'd on my Hulu short. And she just got the film. She just got instinctively what I wanted to say with it, what I wanted to do with it. And she was a brilliant partner, kind of talking me through shot listing and the look of it and the tone of it. She put in so much extra prep work, which I think like ends up making a better product for everybody. But I got a lot of help. And I think particularly women feel like, I have to wait till I'm ready. Like, I don't know. Like, what if things go wrong? And I just had a lot of people around me saying like, we got you.